North Korea and its only president Kim Jong-Un. There is hardly a person who has not heard about this name in this country. This country is so mysterious that even visiting it as a tourist can cause problems. Since 2011, Kim Jong-un has ruled the country inherited from his father with an iron fist. North Korea launched a ballistic missile 3 times on November 3, 2022. Since the beginning of 2022, the number of missiles launched by North Korea has reached 31. Kim Jong-un is definitely at the head of these things. Why does he launch so many missiles? Has missile launch become a fun game for Kim Jong-un? According to the answers given to the mass media, the president of North Korea explained this situation as follows: "We are not launching missiles for nothing. On the contrary, we are testing them." But by launching so many rockets and doing so many crazy things throughout the year, this is not just a test, but North Korea is trying to show off its weapons to other countries and then to conclude a peace agreement. This method is just a trick to intimidate other countries. For years, North Korea has been flaunting itself to the countries of the world by making many threats against its neighboring countries and America. It spends a lot of money to make itself strong. In fact, it is not good for a country to use a military technical base for testing in order to show off to others. After all, if the technical base does not meet the requirements during the test, it will bring down the reputation of the country. Even if the test is successful, it is just an extra cost. In today's video, you will get to know some amazing information about North Korea and its stupid president Kim Jong-un. Before starting the video, please subscribe to our channel and click like on the video. Understand this is not begging. Your one action will help us to reach more people with our videos. If you are ready, we have started. North Korea has become such a closed country that it is almost cut off from the outside world. The people of the country also hear news about the world through the country's television. Those channels always report how successful North Korea is, and even the World Cup is always won by North Korea. Behind these stupid things is their funny but brutal president, Kim Jong-un. When you see pictures of North Korea online, it's sure to catch your eye, because Kim Jong-un is the only fat person living in North Korea. Look at those paces. Everyone except Kim Jong-un is thin. This is not a coincidence, because the economy of North Korea is very difficult. Since it is a closed country, there is almost no export and import. The largest part of the country's economy goes to the improvement of the military technical base and the purchase of missiles and the production of nuclear weapons. That is why the common people cannot buy food in full. But this does not belong to the president of the country. Kim Jong-un is fed with expensive food brought from Chaetel every year. It is known for expensive cheeses, sweets, and red meat from Chaetel. Every year, $17 million worth of goods are imported from Chaetel just for Kim Jong-un and his family. Kim Jong-un took over the reins of power in 2011 after the death of his father, Kim Jong-il. His first act was to execute government officials who did not support him. He even executed his own uncle in a terrible way. His own brother Kim Jong-nam also died of poisoning at the airport in Malaysia, in which Kim Jong-un also had a hand. He used wild animals that had been starved for months in the process of executing government officials, and brought wild animals and threw officials who opposed him alive to the wild animals. He said that this situation should be an example to others by showing it in public. Despite his short stature, he is known for playing basketball well. He is close friends with 5-time NBA champion Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman often visits North Korea. Dennis Rodman is the only basketball player who is friends with the president of North Korea and the former president of America, Donald Trump. Kim Jong-un is unofficially considered a multi-married president. His wife and children live isolated from society. However, their children only appear at official ceremonies. Kim Jong-un was named after his grandfather, who founded North Korea in 1948, and named after his father, Jong-Un. Kim Jong-un and his paternal grandfather have ruled the country since its inception. Kim Jong-un and his descendants are forced to be seen as God by the North Korean people because Kim Jong-un wants it to be. When Kim Jong-il died in 2011, the people wept as if they had lost themselves. Because at that time, anyone who did not cry was sentenced to prison. Photos of Kim Jong-un and his father must be in every home. If a family without a photo was found, they were executed or sentenced to prison together with the ancestors of that family. An American student was sentenced to 15 years in prison for taking a photo of Kim Jong-un from his bedroom while studying in North Korea and died mysteriously a year and a half later. Kim Jong-un continues the strict rule inherited from his father and grandfather. She even makes her hairstyles look like them and has undergone plastic surgery to look like them. The hairstyles of both men and women in the country are prescribed by law. There are 20 different hairstyles, and it is a requirement that Kim Jong-un wants to do it, and it is a crime to do hairstyles outside of the prescribed order. Kim Jong-un is very fond of security and luxurious life. In the capital of North Korea, there are several houses. These houses are built in such a way that they can withstand the explosion of nuclear weapons. It is also known for the fact that there are separate hidden houses under the houses, and they are connected by escape corridors. Kim Jong-un's house is so heavily guarded that sneaking into the house requires passing through electric wires and additional sprinklers in the garden that surrounds the house. Even if you manage to get past that, you will be blown up and blown to pieces as soon as you step on the explosive weapons placed under your feet. This house is hard to even photograph. But satellite images show just how lavish the house is. Despite having a soccer field and a huge park at home, Kim Jong-un also built a private island for himself. Kim Jong-un is also heavily guarded when he travels. The soldiers guarding it go through very tough tests and run around the car all the time despite being guarded by an armored car. Kim Jong-un also attaches great importance to the army in order not to lose the country. With a population of 25 million, North Korea has more than 1 million military personnel. This indicator is much higher compared to the country's population. Kim Jong-un often orders people to gather in the capital square to hold various demonstrations. This is one of his hobbies. North Korea is known for its crazy rules. As you all know, there are traffic lights on permanent traffic roads, and the traffic is under constant control. But in North Korea, beautiful girls serve instead of traffic lights. These girls who dictate the moves are trained so hard that they perform the routines flawlessly like a robot. North Korea constantly monitors people to see if they are loyal to the country or not, and for this they have divided people into 3 classes. A North Korean citizen is prohibited from calling relatives or acquaintances living in Western countries. Despite the fact that the whole of humanity uses the Gregorian calendar, North Korea still uses the Chukchi calendar, and now we have 2023, which is the 112th year of the Chukchi calendar in North Korea. This calendar is calculated from the date of birth of Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. North Korea has 5,000 sites that can be accessed within its own territory, and access to other state sites or any sites from the outside world is prohibited. An interesting fact is that the name of Kim Jong-un and his descendants on these sites should be written 20% larger than other texts. Singing is forbidden in this country. A statue of Kim Jong-un's father and grandfather has been installed in the center of the capital, and it is forbidden to photograph them separately. Even in front of the statue it is forbidden to chew gum and do obscenities. A statue should be treated with the same respect as a living person. Even a passing car slows down and cyclists are required to get off their bikes. Celebrating birthdays on July 8th or December 17th is strictly prohibited in North Korea. Because Kim Jong-un's father and grandfather died on this day, these days are considered a day of mourning and mourning. About 200,000 North Koreans celebrate their July 8th birthdays on and after July 10th. It seems ridiculous that North Korea has the biggest stadium in the world despite being a poor country. Because it is not good to build a big luxurious stadium to brag to the world while the people are suffering and starving. The stadium can accommodate 150,000 people. This stadium is used only during state ceremonies. North Korean Army. We have reached the most interesting and informative part of our video. It is known that in almost many countries of the world, going to the army and military service is a choice, but in North Korea there is no such choice. All boys and girls must go to the army. The term of the army is usually 5 years, but if you pass the exam and get accepted to the university, you will get a discount. That is, you will serve for 3 years instead of 5 years. All those who graduate from university or do not go to university serve in the army for the North Korean state for 5 years. They are allowed to come home every 6 months. This was also organized in order to get in touch with the family members and to gain strength. The food system in the army is not good. Most of the soldiers die of hunger. The North Korean president focuses on the number of the army but not at all on its quality. Due to lack of food and starvation in the army, North Korean soldiers are much shorter than South Korean soldiers. Despite various tortures and starvation, the soldiers in the army are taught a strong spiritual lesson that they are always ready to sacrifice themselves for President Kim Jong-Un. In the army, girls are shown no love and they are never neglected. After a female soldier of the North Korean army managed to escape, she went to the Organization for the Protection of Human Rights and told everything publicly. There, he gave many concrete examples of how girls were raped and brutally punished by high-ranking army officials. Girls serve in the army under constant pressure from their superiors, and if they object or refuse any suggestions from their superiors, it will be very difficult for them later in their service. Among these conditions, there are also unfathomable demands in addition to the offer of sex. North Korea lives in constant fear, unable to rebel because it is a poor country and has a very tyrannical ruler. We have already mentioned that the soldiers are given a strong spiritual lesson in the army. Despite being subjected to such harsh conditions and torture, the soldiers in the army are ready to sacrifice their lives for Kim Jong-un. They even think we are doing the right thing. Even if they get wounded during the battle, there is no surrender. It is an honor for every soldier to die for Kim Jong-un in battle. The army has medical facilities, which is a good thing because health comes first. But not everything is as you think. Why? The reason is that there are no medicines or doctors in medical institutions. Why does it have medical facilities? To answer the question, medical facilities are only for the dead. A dead soldier will be brought here, and what will happen after that is known only to God. When soldiers die in the army, no condolences are given to their families. He considers it an honor to die in the army. The relatives of the deceased are not given any assistance or any other assistance. Only one thing is given, and this is a certificate that the deceased served in the army. Kim Jong-un spends 65% of the state income on the army, and they constantly encourage the population by broadcasting messages on television. In fact, Kim Jong-un spends 65% of the country's economic income on the army, but this money is spent not on soldiers, but on the purchase of missiles and nuclear weapons. That is why the soldiers are always suffering from hunger. Their clothes are also not good. In winter they wear cold shoes and thin suits. Soldiers are hungry and steal from ordinary people's houses or shops. If caught, it is certain that he will be imprisoned or punished. That's why high-ranking officials always hire ordinary soldiers to steal. If he does not do this, he will starve. If he does, he will be punished. Kim Jong-un is not interested in army food, and he said about the army's clothing, warm clothes and warm shoes make a man lazy. A lazy man has a hard time doing his duty, but does not want to overspend. It takes at least 1 year for the lucky man or woman who comes home from the terrible torture and hard life in the army to get out with the common population. What does he do living despite all the tortures in the army? Of course, there will be those who say, "You are right, but it is forbidden to leave the army, let alone travel to another country. But despite pressures, there are always those who escape from the army. As soon as they catch them, they will be executed. Every year, the number of people who escape and die because they cannot withstand the torture in the army is increasing. But the number of deserters is dwindling due to fear that anyone who tries to escape from the army will be caught and executed, and their family members will also suffer. Relatives of those who manage to escape and successfully flee to China or Russia are also sentenced to death or imprisonment. Because of this, many soldiers came to the conclusion that there is no point in running away no matter how much they suffer. In the history of mankind, there have been many barbaric leaders and bloodthirsty ones. But because they are all in history, it is a little hard to believe mentally because Kim Jong-Un, who has not seen with his own eyes, but is considered a living legend today and has no equal in bloodthirstiness and brutality, is quite chilling when one hears it. And he is a person who loves himself too much. It is not good to make the common people suffer, no matter how luxurious they live and no matter how great the ruler. Because there is only one truth in this world, and that truth is death. No matter who or what a person is, one day he will surely die, and he will answer for everything he has done before God. Let us know in the comments what you think about North Korea and its violent president. This is the information we wanted to convey to you during today's video, dear ones. If you liked the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.